Hey everybody, Economic Ninja here. I hope you're doing well. There are a lot of people panicking right now and they're running to their phones and they are Googling two things. First off, Bank of America is canceling or shutting down accounts. And number two, what is going on with the Dow Jones? Dow Jones, people are starting to get really worried. Markets around the world last night started to come down heavily. Japan, Asia, Europe, everyone around the world is nervous and or getting scared, panicking possibly about these tariffs. And tomorrow is the day. All right. So let's dive right into the Bank of America stuff. Real quick, I want to remind you today is the last day for the 90% off flash sale on the real estate cycles and crash course. If you guys want to learn about real estate cycles, I can guarantee after you take this class, you're going to think completely different about buying and how to buy and sell real estate, when to buy and sell real estate, and how to play those cycles, those 7 and 5 year cycles to your favor. All right, so the link's down below. All right, first stories out of Newsweek. Bank of America could cancel these accounts, and there's some things you need to know. Bank of America customers across the country could be at risk of losing access to their funds if they fail to meet certain activity requirements. The financial institution has confirmed it will close accounts. This is what, the second largest bank in the country? It's going to close accounts deemed inactive under state escheatment laws, a move that could affect a broad range of financial products from checking accounts to uncashed cashier's checks. Just curious, anybody bank with Bank of America type B of A? I'm curious how many people here bank with them. I personally do not. The closures are part of the efforts to comply with legal obligations to transfer abandoned assets to state custody and could come as a surprise to account holders unaware of the rules. I don't know if you know this or not. Type 1 if you do, type 2 if you didn't. Each state goes and seizes funds that are sitting on the books of financial institutions after a certain amount of time. And you could go to the websites. Usually it's under the state secretary website or the... what's the name of that website? You just Google unclaimed money and your state, and you'll find an official state website, okay? And you can go and claim unclaimed money. I did it for all my family, as a matter of fact. You just type in a last name. It's actually pretty scary. You could just go and find all kinds of stuff for your family. And how much money just gets seized. It's a big deal. And the state likes this because if you never come for the money, they get to keep it. Now it says, who's at risk of this account closure? Bank of America has outlined the customer accounts that may be flagged as abandoned if they show no signs of activity for a long period of time. Really easy answer. A long period of time, they say typically, I know that's a crappy answer, huh? Typically is 3 years or more. So if you have this inactivity going on in Bank of America and it's been going for a long time, they said they'll send you a letter. But if the letter never gets to you, they take your money. And then you got to go deal with the state, okay? So go and check that stuff out. Now, let's move over to the stock market because this is a big deal that's happening. I did a video on Friday and I said, hey, this time is getting serious. And the reason why is because the stock market was falling, not a ton on a percentage basis, what, a couple, 2-3%, whatever it was. But my point being is that this whole time since the S&P has been coming down heavy in the last month, we really haven't seen the 10-year bond move, or really any of the bonds move for that matter of fact. Sometimes, some days we're seeing the Dixie pop up higher, the dollar index. But by and large, we weren't seeing any big effects. What happened the other day? Well, bonds people started to buy bonds as protection. The 10-year bond rate fell pretty darn significantly on a 1 day. It hasn't really fallen that much in quite some time, the interest rates. Now, at the same time, this is great for people that want to refinance mortgages and things. Trust me, you have not seen anything yet. You are going to see a panic. I mean, I think we may actually be in the beginnings of it right now. And that's why I've moved a lot of my positions to cash, because all bets are thrown out the second you start seeing people running to bonds, okay? That's something very, very important to understand. A lot of people get upset because they're like, hey, you said this, you said that. I'm like, yeah, it's all great in a bull market until all of a sudden people start running to bonds, bond yields are dropping, and the equities are selling off, cryptos are selling off. Oh, guess what? It's getting real. So you need to move to protection. And that's why I sold some assets and moved a little bit of money to cash. So as of right now, the Dow Jones, they're saying the futures dropped 300 points. As of right now, as of the recording of this, it's down like 246. They're off their lows, let's say. But The Nasdaq's down, the S&P futures are down, and you saw Japan last night. Let's go to those numbers. The ASX down 1.74%. The Nikkei 4% down. That is huge, huge day, right? Then let's move over to Europe. How did Europe fare? Down 1.5, 1.72, 1.69% on the CAC. So if you think about it, these are days right now where things aren't looking too good, right? As of right now, because the markets haven't opened, they open in a few minutes. The 10-year bond is down. I would be surprised if yields actually rise today, because I think that going into tomorrow and to see the panic, I do believe it's going to be, buy the rumor, sell the news kind of thing. But this is very important. On the we just watched Canada break up with us. I know a lot of us are going, but we were dating Canada. I didn't know that. Actually, Canada was just, sapping off of us. And I'm saying that nicely to all the people in Canada, because the facts are the facts. Canada relies on the U.S. a lot for trade, right? They import a ton of stuff from the U.S. And yeah, for a long time, we've imported their softwoods and I don't know if they've got a lot of hardwoods over there to import to us. But my point being is that we have taken stuff from them, but in reality, what we've been doing is just holding on to our own supply of lumber and things like that, right? And Canada, it's sad because I see a lot of people in Canada suffering because they're having a hard time buying a home because of the way they do their refinance laws, right? They don't have a 30-year fixed mortgage. They have higher taxes, and they always tout, honestly, they always tout the healthcare. But I'm like, what would you rather have? Be able to go to a doctor and get shot up with who knows what in your body and possibly get a disease? I'm being straightforward, or getting taxed to death, or having your freedom. And I think that's an important thing to state. I don't know. Probably going to get a lot of hate for that. All right, so here we go. Gold. Oh, gold's up. Weird. But that should be expected right now, right? Safe haven. And it's really exciting to watch people FOMO into gold because it's at all-time highs. But on a percentage basis, gold hasn't done nearly as much as what silver has. And I think that's really cool to state. As a matter of fact, type 3 if you've noticed that. You've watched since let's say the start of this channel, when silver was at $14 and gold was at, I want to say, like 1,500. I want to say it was. And you look at the prices, and everyone the shiny lure is all-time highs, all-time highs. And you're like, well, what's gold going to do? It's going to go to 5,000, maybe 6,000 in the next couple of years, right? Everyone's, praying and hoping on this, all the gold bugs around the world on the internet. They're like, oh, the revaluation. You're like, yeah, hoping one hand, crap in the other, and figure out which one fills up first. And that's the truth. And people get so butthurt over it. It's like, hey, why don't we just do guarantees? If you pay off your debt and you start to invest in inflation hedges as inflation rises, you are guaranteed to make money, right? At least now you're preserving purchasing power, right? And what you're doing is you've got something where your neighbors don't have anything financially. I'm talking about, right? We're not talking about end of the world, like food apocalypse thing, but we're talking about money, right? When things crash, and I'll give you an example. Back in 2008, I did have some money and I did lose some money, right? The value of my money went down because of some of the asset classes I was holding it in. But because I had saved and because I had invested, what I found was that I know it sounds on a garage sale, I was the only person with money. People were selling their stuff to pay their mortgage or to not get their car repossessed so that they could go to work, right? Then I would go to companies that were closing their doors, big companies that were selling stuff, and nobody was there. Nobody was showing up. Nobody could afford it. You saw Looky Lures, and I had an equity line. So I started writing checks out of my equity line and buying up companies' entire materials and their equipment. And then I would store it somewhere and flip it. Matter of fact, I got a buddy from the fire station, a friend. He just retired from the fire station. He is killing it. You know what he's doing? No, I can't. Well, we'll see if he watches my channel. He is buying up equipment from companies that are going closing their doors all over the state, and he's going and reselling it to companies that want to start and they're growing. You see, what people don't realize is even every time there's a crash, for every one company that's closing their doors, there's actually 2 small startups that are starting. People like you and people like me that see opportunities and go, hey, I can see this need and I want to fill a gap. I want to fill a need. And that's what makes America great, is small businesses. Small to medium businesses are what make America great. The problem is when companies get larger, that's when we fail as a country because monopolies happen. People get lazy, things like that. Am I making sense? Type 10 if I'm making sense, everyone. And thank you, you know what, to the people that are like, hey, why do you make people type? Because you know what? This is interactive and I want to know what you're thinking. All right. And actually, it doesn't do anything for the algo anymore. To be honest with you, I'm so used to it. I like hanging out with you guys. Um, I'm not here to just, stand on a high horse and, well, I couldn't even stand on a horse. A horse is gonna look at me and go, seriously, you're gonna get on my back? Jeez. Okay. Ninja's a big dude. All right. So if you guys want to learn about these real estate cycles, because we have just now started the crash in real estate prices and it's going to keep going. Trump's not going to be able to stop it like you think. I'm being honest. There's people that are like, no, things aren't going to crash because we have Trump. Like, holy cow. You guys type yes or no. You realize that there are people out there like that? You got derangement syndrome on both sides, right? Both sides of the aisle. both both sides of the aisle are screwed up. Oh gosh. But it's the same thing everywhere. You've got moderates and you've got extremists. And you got just total like, I don't care what's going on in the world, just care what's playing on the TV right now. But my point being is that that's what's exciting. You get to take advantage of human behavior. If you become a student of human behavior, you learn so much of what not to do, but then you learn what to do. All right. If you guys want that course, links down below. If you want to learn about real estate cycles, it's 90% off. I guarantee you're going to walk away a changed person. I know it sounds crazy. Or if you don't, I'll tell you what. If you've watched less than half the course in less than 14 days, you go, yeah, you know what, this isn't for me. Email Dylan, we'll give you your money back. That's how confident I am in that product. And honestly, I think it's such an amazing deal that later, this is just the true sales pitch, being true and honest, because I own a financial education company and my goal is to make 1 million people millionaires and to change people's minds forever. You're going to come back and buy more products because you're going to see the time hack, the money hack, and you're going to go crush it. That is the real sales pitch. All right. With that being said, the Economic Ninja is out.